In battle, we are reborn.
Flee, and the spear will find your back.
They are called gods, but when they die, you cannot hear their howls above the wind.
Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. In this one, I will show you how to play Pantheon. Ability sequence is Q max followed by E for the offensive and defensive capabilities, and then W last for the CC. Your ultimate passively grants you armor penetration while also enabling your roaming, so always put points into this whenever possible. Pantheon's passive will empower his next basic ability. We start off with a Q level 1 here, so the empowered Q is going to deal a lot more damage. Now you can use the Q two different ways, guys. You can use it in melee range, or you can, if you hold it down, then you can also use it as a ranged attack. So Pantheon level 1 is a melee, he's a melee champion, right? So in the mid lane you're going to play against a lot of ranged champions, so just stay back and then you can farm with your Q if needed. You don't want to lose too much HP because that's really important, otherwise you won't really be able to do anything once you hit level 2 and 3. Just stay back and don't take too much poke. Then once you hit level 2, guys, then you have your engage ability that will also stun the target. That is your main engage tool in fights. The empowered W will make it so Pantheon strikes 3 times really fast. Now this is really good for extended fights because that empowered W is going to stack up your Conqueror extremely fast, like really fast, so you almost have it up instantly. So it's going to make it really good in extended fights. Meanwhile, your empowered Q is going to give you a lot of poke damage. Now remember that your Q is going to deal bonus damage if the target is low HP, right? So it also works as an executing spell. Very good for farming as well, your empowered Q, because that's what you need to shout out the waves really fast if you're looking to roam or recall or something. So your E, guys, is going to block out all damage. That isn't tower damage, but it blocks out everything else, so in fights you want to save it for the main damaging abilities the opponents have. So this right here was a really good trade, because now he's really low HP just from one engage, so our next engage we can just flash on top of him and then finish him off pretty much, because he will not be able to react to it, just like that. And since he was low HP, then our Q is going to deal bonus damage, so that's pretty free, and that's how you want to play Pantheon. Place that ward right there, because I'm going to recall now and Twisted Fate teleported back, right? So after he shot out that way, then I want to see what he's doing. I want to see if he's roaming to one of the side lanes, that way I can warn my teammates ahead of time. So that ward in the middle lane is really good if you have to recall and the enemy laner will get back to lane before you. And it's especially good against roamers, so Twisted Fate, Talon, Kiana and such, you really want those wards, because that way you know where they hit it before they get to their destination. That way you can warn your teammates ahead of time. Pretty much lower the chances of them actually getting a kill on them. So whenever you go for a combo, you want to play around the passive stacks. That's what's really important, because they empower your basic abilities. You don't need to have full stacks. Usually you want to engage when you have 3 stacks, because that way you get the empower Q. If you have 3 stacks, then you go in with a W, then auto attack and then empower Q. That's also fine. But you really want to make sure that you play around this passive, because that's where your damage is at. Also, if you decide to use the range Q, then keep in mind that it's going to deal less damage if it has to pass through other targets, so minions for example. That way the enemy champion can just hide behind the minions and then it's barely going to deal any damage. So now we have level 6 guys. So the passive of ultimate gives us armor pin, right? Pantheon used to be a only early game champion and then he fell off super hard, but because of this change right here, the fact that he has access to free armor pin makes him really good in the mid game and later stages as well. He doesn't fall off as hard anymore. He's not a late game champion, but he can work in the late game now. So we want to use this ultimate to roam with, guys. When you use it, then you want to make sure that you use it ahead of the opponent, because it has a super long delay to it, right? So use it to cut off the escape path. This ultimate right here was a bit bad because my teammates did not follow up, but I should also have waited right here because there was no way for us to kill them, so that was a waste. But you want to try to look to gank whenever it's up. And make sure that you don't use it on top of them, but ahead of them. So you cut off their escape path, that way they have no way to escape. It also deals mixed damage. It's also good for bursting, and remember that it's going to reset your passive when you use it. So you don't need to stack up your passive or prepare it in at once, you can just ult whenever there's an opportunity for a kill. The first mythic item we will be going for, or the first core item, is the Eclipse. It also gives us some sustain in the lane once we have the Ramp Scepter or the complete mythic item. It's good for the sustain as well, but it gives us a shield and such, so it's really good for bursting as well. You can also go for the Dust Plate, but it doesn't really give you that much utility unless you actually get a kill. It relies on you getting a kill before you can actually get the invisibility part, so not very optimal in most cases, because Eclipse is just better on Pantheon. So this wave is going to push into us, so that's great here. So Switch of Fate will be losing out on CS. And that Drake is not really something we can stop because bot lane died, so let's Twist the Fate gang, so we just have to chill for a bit here. So just gonna let that wave push and then we just farm. You can use the range Q on him, but if we do that then we're going to push the wave, so can't really risk doing that. Because when you play Pantheon, you want people to walk up to you, right? You want them to walk into your W range. If you keep pushing that wave, then they have no reason to walk up. Right now we are pressuring TF because you can just constantly freeze the wave, right? So he either has to blow his entire mana bar by farming with long range Qs, or he has to risk and walk all the way up to farm. So either way, we are actually winning right now, so that's just what we have to keep doing. The thing is, when he farms with this Q, because it is AoE damage, then it's also going to hit the other minions, so he just constantly keeps pushing the wave, so even though he's getting a few minions here and there, then his wave is getting messed up. Just gonna stay like this right here. We still have the delivery biscuits. You don't have to use the delivery biscuits. It's mainly for the sustain, so if you think you don't need that, then you can easily use something else in the inspiration tree. Magical footwear is also decent. He's pretty low mana because he just AFK'd and used his Q to farm. Gonna walk up a bit here and try to pressure him. Usually you can play around the cannon minion because he did have to walk up to get it. But this was a really good trade right here, so now we can just push it, and what happens if he stays is that we can just tower dive him, right? Remember that your E does not block tower damage, but it blocks everything else, so you want to save it for Twisted Fate's his stack deck. Okay, he teleported back here, so we can also go ahead and recall because we can't really gank bot lane because they are pushed in. For you to be able to use your ultimate in the bot lane, you want the enemy bot to be pushed in here, and we can't really help these guys out either, because we're just going to die. Viego with a Yumi attached to him, that is just too much for us to deal with, right? So just gonna shove this way in here. Twisted Fate also used his ultimate. Gonna get one tower plate. So we definitely want to be basing right now because we have so much gold, so the longer we stay, the worse it is for us because it just gives TF some freedom to farm. Yeah, this is the crazy damage you have on Pantheon. It has so much damage that almost no mid laner can actually deal with it if he is able to close the gap. Yeah, we can use ultimate right here. Gonna take Yumi. We did get a kill for it. If we did not, then this would have been a complete waste because that would also delay our recall timer, so Twisted Fate would just be able to go mid, show out the wave, and then he gets prio, so luckily we got a kill, and now we have a big power spike, so we got the Eclipse right here, so we have some sustain, a lot of damage. We also have a shield and some bonus movement speed, so helps a lot in those 1 versus 1s. It also helps you sticking to your targets to make sure they don't escape, so if there's a point in the game where you really want to have some impact as Pantheon, then now is the time. Pretty strong early game, but now you're super strong, so now is the point where you want to start looking for plays and really force stuff. Especially if you play against scaling mid laners. Now Twisted Fate is not a scaling champion, but if you play against something like a Cassidy, then you really want to snowball. Twisted Fate got pretty much one shot because they don't really expect the damage, and you can use that Empower Q to show out the waves fast. It is going to one shot the backline, so now you have some really good wave clear, so you can push out waves as you want to. And then show in the tower. Take the tower plates or roam to the side lanes, whatever you want. Now we again have a lot of gold. Just try to have the minions stack up, guys, so you can hit as many as possible with that Empower Q. They're going for the Drake here, so we want to try to stop them. Looks like they are not. The Drake is cancelled, so we can also go ahead and recoil because we have a lot of gold here. We can take the Drake here though, because we have Prio. Gonna pull it out. We also need to defend mid lane, and we almost have ultimate up, guys. If possible, you want to try to use it off cooldown. So you push out the mid wave and then you look at the side lanes and see if there's something you can abuse. Because this ultimate is really OP in solo queue. Roaming ultimates like Twisted Fate's ultimate or Pantheon's. That's awesome. So now we can get the tower. There we go. So your E also deals damage, guys, at the end of the duration, or you can also cancel it early on. You don't need it for the damage reduction, but you do damage blocker that you just need it for the damage. Then you can just cancel it early on, so you can use that time to get another Q in, your auto tag or whatever you have up. Now we're sitting on a lot of gold here again, so of course you want to be maxing your E second because it's going to lower the cooldown. That ability is so important in teamfights. Because that's the only way you can actually stay alive. By going the Assassin Pantheon. Because if you don't have that E and you engage in fights, then you're just getting one shot, right? So you really want to make sure that you have that E up as often as possible. So Yuuma's Ghostblade is something I like to run second, as the second item after you have Eclipse, because it gives you movement speed, right? So it really helps you stick to the targets, because normally a lot of champions can kite you. So this really helps with that extra bit of engage power. On top of that, you also get out of combat movement speed, so you can go to the side lane, farm the wave, and then you can catch up to a team afterwards, right? So you can make it in time. It's really good to have, but if you don't need that extra mobility, you can also go for something defensive like the Sterix Gauge, because it gives you some tankiness so you can survive in teamfights for longer without getting bursted down. We also have items like the Serpent's Fang, which I really like to use if they have a lot of champions with shielding, because it makes you deal bonus damage. And it is bonus damage to the champion, not just to the shield, right? So if they have a champion with summon Eri, shielding a champion, then you are going to deal a crazy amount of damage to them. So it can be really good to buy as well if they have that, so keep that in mind. So now we have the Yuumu, so that is great. They also have a lot of healing, so we definitely need Executioners. Viego has a lot of healing. Yuumi does as well, so we want to deny that. So you could have bought this Executioners early on, but it really depends. In this game my ADC already has it, so I don't need to rush it, because AD carries are much better at applying the healing reduction because of their ranged damage. We are a melee champion, so we won't really be able to apply it that often. But it does help make sure that we actually one-shot the target we jump on, so they don't randomly heal up back to the full HP, so you should not be buying it later than this. Oh, he actually has a lot of damage even though he's so far behind. Oh wow, okay. That's a mistake I made right there because we knew that Malphite was missing, so the only thing he could have went for is me right there, right? So I should just have backed off. Also another important thing, remember that your E only blocks from the front, right? So you want to make sure that you position correctly when you try to block out the damage, otherwise if they stay behind you, then your E is pretty much useless, it does nothing. Right, team is actually doing pretty well, so that's great. Are also snowballing our lead right here. Normally in the mid game, guys, you want to be in the side lane. If you have teleport up or you ultimate up, because then you will easily be able to group your team if something happens, right? And you also want to make sure that you get the XP and gold for yourself. So a lot of Pantheon players, what I have noticed is that they have really low CS numbers, because it is not a champion you want to be CSing with all the time. You want to be looking for kills as soon as the game starts, pretty much, right? So what you can do on Pantheon is that you just stay in the side lane. Just try to push out as many waves as possible, and if you think something is going to happen, then you can pop that Yuumu's Ghostblade, make sure you get within range and then ult in. But stay in the side lane as often as possible, so you make sure that you stay ahead in the game. Can't really help them right here. It's a bit unfortunate they got caught like this, but that is solo queue. This is Diamondillo. And people even get caught here. It actually happens very often, so it is what it is. Maybe we can look for a kill on Sevilla if she keeps pushing in the bot lane. Just gonna AFK in the brush right here and then see if she pushes up. She does, so now we can go in. Ult behind her. Thing is, Viego and Yuumi should still be around, so we can just limit test right here and see how much damage we actually have. They're actually really fast. That is crazy, okay. Yeah, I actually ran it down right here. It's a bit unfortunate. I did not expect her to have exhaust up, but even if she did, that was still a really bad play because we knew that Viego and Yuumi was around. But sometimes it's fine to limit test like this, so you really learn the limits of your champion, because sometimes it actually works that you can actually get those kills and then you know that your champion will be able to do it. You won't know that if you never try it, so of course go limit testing in normal games and not ranked, guys, because you don't want to sacrifice Seal for it. We're just gonna get the fully upgraded Grievous Wounds item, so it applies a stronger anti-healing mechanic. Yuumi does have a lot of healing and so does Viego, so we really want to be looking to deny that. So right now we have healing reduction on me and Senna, so that should be more than enough. Building is just building straight burst, so that's also fine for us. They're fighting around here. I don't have my ultimate up, but we can look for engage. So pop that Yuumu's Ghostblade, guys. That's what it's for. Just gonna jump on the AD carry. That is the one you want to be focusing in the fights. Unlucky flash from Sevilla. We can also get Malphite here. Possibly Yuumi as well. Nice. And this is how you want to engage in fights. You don't want to be in the front because you'll just get focused down. When people see a Pantheon, they're just gonna focus him down. He has a lot of damage, but he's super squishy, right? I don't know why Garen is going in right there. He's also limit testing, that's fine. Just pop that human score splatter if you need to, but that is why I really like to have this item, because it allows you to engage from the sides, and you also have that extra bit of movement speed, so even if somebody flies us, then you can still catch up to them. And looks like, yeah, we did buy them enough time, so we get the Baron as well right now, so the game is pretty much closed out. Especially because this is a somewhat high elo. Like Diamond 4 or Diamond 3 game, so most people here know how to close out the games. Just can push out this way and then we can look for recall, then we can get the upgraded Glorious Wounds item, the Chain Sword. We also want to make sure that we recall ahead of time, so we don't start recalling when the dragon is about to spawn, because then we'll not be able to make it, so fine if you're on base like 1 minute before it spawns, because that gives you time to get to the dragon and then secure vision control as well. But don't recall like 30 or 20 seconds before it spawns, because that you're just making it easier for the enemy team to adjust the objectives, so avoid doing that and really plan ahead. That one hit, I'm pretty sure, right? They should have nuked him for a lot. Want to be careful you're not walking in here, because the entire team should be there. Great. So the game is pretty much over at this point. They can't really do anything, so probably going to FF. So that was the Pantheon guide. I hope this was helpful. As always, see you guys in the next one.